You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Chris in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, TV shows, games, books, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 652, where we're going to break down the latest episodes of Maul Shadowlord. I always get the comic mixed up with this one. Maul Shadowlord. This is Inquisition and Night of the Hunted. With me, of course, is Chris. Chris, how are you doing tonight, man? You ready to talk about these?
Hey, I'm ready. I'm excited. These episodes were amazing, and I can't wait to get cracking on them.
Yeah. There was a lot in there, too. A lot of good stuff here that we'll get into in just a second. But before we get started, how about saying some special thanks to some special folks, if you don't mind?
Sure. No problem. Wanted to give thanks to all our Patreon members. First of all, let's give a welcome back to Jeremy Reese. Thank you for coming back to the fold. We really appreciate you. And then we have our now part of the tribe members, Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz. I've got a Brad Feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike Borda, my girl Paisley, Rita Reborn, Sharkman Dan, Uncle Leon, Will I Am, and William B. Then we have our Delusions of Grandeur members. Now this is Rod Racing, Steve, and Rob. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do this without you.
Yeah. And if you guys are interested, you can hit the Patreon QR code in the top. I don't know. I'm going to switch it because it's covering the logo there. There we go. But yeah, you can hit that QR code, or you can head out to cantinacast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/thecantinacast and sign up there for any one of the tiers. They'll get you a ton of episodes that are in the back catalog of things that we've done over the years. So please support the show if you can. Really appreciate all the help there. Yeah, Chris is coming from the bunker again, as you can tell right here. Yeah, parts unknown as well.
Yep. Exactly.
What do we got coming up on the show?
Coming up on the Cantina Cast this Wednesday is going to be our first show, and we're going to kick the first show of our series called The Road to Celebration. And we're going to focus on ticket sales and all the information that surrounds obtaining a ticket to Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles in 2027. So if you have any questions or if you have any concerns about obtaining a ticket to that celebration, which is going to be the one that's going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, tune into that show on Wednesday. Then coming up on Sunday, we're going to have a to be determined Patreon show. And then, of course, next Monday night, we're gonna break down the penultimate episodes of Maul Shadowlord. So be sure to tune in for that. And then on May 17th, we're gonna have the final hype for The Mandalorian Grogu. So if you need to get hyped up for that movie, tune into that show.
Yeah, if you need it. I don't know that you will at that point, but maybe you still will.
Exactly. The point is, hopefully you won't, but hey, we're going to talk about it nonetheless to get you ready for that premiere.
Yeah. And we just did a Patreon show last night, as a matter of fact. So we broke down the final trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. So that was a good talk for about an hour. And then we talked a little bit about, some of the concerns that we had, constructive feedback, criticism of the marketing, that kind of thing. But, we'll see. There's still quite a bit of time, a little bit of more runway here to go before we get to the release of that. So if you're a Patreon member, the audio and video is out on that one as well. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to listen to it or watch it. Hopefully you enjoyed it too. So, okay, so let's do this. Let's get into the main topic, which is going to be breaking down Inquisition and Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Hunted. Before we do, for anybody that hasn't watched the episodes, because we realize they just came out today, it's not even been 24 hours yet. We'll do some non-spoiler thoughts first, and then once we get all that out of the way, we'll get into the full spoilers, the full breakdown and analysis and everything else you've come to love and expect from us. So, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of kick things off. Non-spoiler reaction, first thoughts. What did you think about these next two episodes?
So they keep doing this every week, but it's the truth this week. These episodes really took the show to the next level. Again, story-wise, dialogue-wise, animation-wise, action-wise, it took it up another level. These episodes were the best so far. So yeah, I'm ready to break them down. But yeah, if you haven't seen them yet, I would really suggest that you kind of leave us here, come back and listen to the recording or view the recording on YouTube, go watch them, and then come back here, because truly you don't want to be spoiled with this information, because some pretty cool things happen in these 2 episodes. So yeah, I loved them, and hopefully they just keep taking it a step further. We have 2 more sets of episodes that are going to come out, and now the bar is set really high.
Yeah, I would agree. Like these did feel like the best 2 episodes of the series thus far. On top of that, I would say that episode 6, Night of the Hunted, is probably the best one that I've seen so far of the series. It's
Correct.
a little bit on the shorter side of things, and there's a lot more action, but they've done enough to earn the time to dedicate to an episode like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, overall, especially these 2 episodes, we are seeing some of the best choreography in terms of the fighting goes, right? We've seen a lot of lightsaber fights and battles over the years, but this has been some really top-notch stuff that's been going down. A lot of the blocking and action sequences, the chain of events that happen, the pacing is starting to really pick up. You can feel the weight of the Empire coming in. That's kind of putting pressure on the characters. It puts pressure on us as the viewers. I mean, there were moments in these 2 episodes where I felt anxious about what was going to happen, because there was just so much stuff going on.
Right.
I love the fact that we've got multiple things happening at the same time. That's very, part of Star Wars' DNA, where you've got multiple battles going on. In fact, I was just thinking right now, there's so much footage that we haven't seen yet that we've broken down. We've talked about it, that, it's starting to kind of formulate what that's going to look like, but it just makes it that much more epic now when you think about how we even try to get to those scenes that we haven't got to just yet. So that's a whole nother conversation for another time. I like the fact that I talked about the pacing itself. The Empire showing up when it did was perfect. Like, it felt like it didn't take too long. Wasn't too quick. We've still got, we're past the halfway mark at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, we've got at least the next half of the series to deal and contend with the Inquisitors coming in. Maybe Darth Vader. We'll see where that goes at the very end of it all. But there's still a lot of stuff that needs to happen. And nobody's passed yet either, right? So we've got all our characters are still in play. There's still a lot. The stakes are still high. We've got new, oppositions for them, whether that's trying to hide from the Empire, hide from the Inquisition of the Inquisitors. There's just a lot more going on there now. And then lastly, thematically, we're still dealing with like loss of identity, whether that's Devin or Maul or anybody that's part of the Empire. Even, it sounds kind of superficial, but like, think about Two Boots, right? He's being told to, at some point I don't want to spoil it, but Two Boots actually has to deal with, identity here in some ways. So I love the fact that they're still playing with those themes of identity and loss of identity. There's still themes of agency, free will that are going on. And then we're dealing more with familial loss, right? The loss of family, whether that's Devin or, Riley, as we knew that they were kind of separated. We get a little bit more context there. So very, very cool stuff that we're dealing with, some deep stuff, some emotional things. Wouldn't necessarily call them darker, but definitely more emotionally and, more mature themes, I guess, if you will. So it's been just really good, man. I really have enjoyed these last 2 episodes, and it feels like the series is continuing to get better and better. We'll see if that's sustainable. Let's see if they kind of drop or dip here after these 2 episodes. But looking at the titles for the next ones and knowing what footage we still got left based on the trailers and the TV spots, I don't think they're going to let off on the gas pedal at all. So,
and they warned us about this when they were talking about it, like Dave Filoni at cons like Celebration, and Sam Witwer here recently at certain cons, that it was going to be nonstop action. So I don't think they're going to let off the gas. I don't think they can now anymore. I think they have to keep their foot on it and just have it be the action that we expect.
Yep. All right. Well, those are kind of our opening thoughts, non-spoiler stuff. We're going to get into spoilers now, so please turn it off. Come back later, like Chris said, if you haven't had a chance to watch the 2 episodes. And let's start from the beginning. The Empire shows up, and they're here. I don't know. What do you think? Is this going the way you thought it was going to go with the Empire showing up? Is it worse than you thought? Because it did feel like, I knew the Empire would show up, and it was like, okay, they've got a Star Destroyer, but man, they really assimilated the place in a very, very fast and rapid manner, which, I think was maybe a little surprising to me, but I love the fact that they did it. Like, they went in and immediately took over a ton of stuff. Like you see all the drop ships coming out at the very beginning. We got that little bit of the Imperial March. Like they just teased us with that, which was really good. But yeah, I mean, they quickly just took over Janix in short order. You start seeing them everywhere. You start noticing them in the backgrounds, and you hear the announcements that, you know, they've pretty much, you know, landed everybody. No one's allowed to take off at this point. They're doing random stops, checking IDs. You know, and then we get Dacky saying, "Hey, this is no longer about Maul. Like it's all about ourselves. We've got to survive. We can't. The Empire is here. Maul's going to have to be dealt with by the Empire now." But what did you think about the quick assimilation and takeover of Janix?
While it did surprise me initially, I was like, "Wow, yeah, there's a lot of troops and whatnot." I thought, okay, you know what? It's appropriate because they consider Maul dangerous. And so, yeah, they were going to come in and make sure that they blanketed the entire or as much of the planet as possible to try to capture Maul because he's considered that dangerous by the Empire. So initially I was like, wow, this is a little bit of overkill. But then then I realized watching not just the rest of that episode, but the next one that they consider Maul a number one, you know, most wanted. And so that's why they brought the farm to try to catch him. So it made sense after that.
Yeah. And after that, we go over to Maul's headquarters, and Rook is kind of saying the same thing. Like, hey, we got to get out of Dodge. You know, the Empire's here. It's time to pick up. We got to go. And of course, Maul wants to stay because of Devin. And she even kind of like, you know, teases him about it a little bit, almost chastises him about it. But, we get a very small line from Vario, kind of, you know, he's complaining about, oh, great, now that the Empire's here, I'm not going to get any shipments, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, he's like, what do I have to show for it? I love Maul's response of you live, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true, right? That's a good thing. You know, I'm alive, you know, doesn't want to take his chances with the Empire, and bowels aren't so bad, right? He'll stay down the bowels of Janix. It's all fine for him. But we did get two kind of guards, two of the Mando guards or people that were hired. I shouldn't say they hired because they were really part of his group, but they did act like, hey, now that the money's not going to be coming in because the Empire's here, I don't know if we want to stick around. It felt like they were dissenting in some ways. Do you think that's going to continue to fester and play out? Do you think we'll see some dissent among the ranks here for Maul?
I think so. They wouldn't have thrown that in there unless that was something that was going to be a part of future storyline. So I think so. Going back to Vario, it was what was funny about, you know, hey, the bows aren't so bad is that, you know, Maul essentially said, okay, you're free. Go take your chances with the Empire.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, no, I think I'll stay here. The bows aren't so bad, you know? So he realizes that if he goes out there, he is not going to have, he either be captured as a criminal or, like he was saying, all of his operations are grounded. The best place for him, actually the safest place for him now, ironically, is right there by Maul's side.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's good because he does kind of, you know, bring some levity to the scenes and where it's otherwise real serious. So we'll see if they continue to be a good little partnership there. But let's talk about the police headquarters, because we go back to the police headquarters. You know, Lawson is looking super edgy. He's on edge. I mean, every little sound, he's kind of paranoid now that the Empire has shown up. And, you know, he sees a data pad that's got Klyce on it. So they're, you know, about to interrogate her. 2B startles him. That guy drinks a lot of caffeine, man. He
sure does.
It's like every cup. There was a couple scenes where he just kind of had a cup the entire time.
Exactly.
But how realistic is that, though, right?
So I know that when I was, you know, before the pandemic, actually probably maybe around like before 2017, when I was required to be in the office majority of the time, I always had coffee
or calf,
whatever you want to call it. I always had it, at least until lunchtime. I always had a cup in my hand. I was always drinking coffee. Now I don't do it so much, but no, I can totally relate to that, especially if you have a job that's stressful as that. You need that caffeine to stay like, yeah, it's supposed to make you jittery, but it kind of can distract you from all of the other stress stuff. So I totally can relate to Brander for that.
Yeah, no, I was being funny, but at the same time, it's reality.
It's reality. There are a lot of people
that depend on, you know, 8 cups of coffee before noon. So
right,
or all day long.
now it's either the 8 cups of coffee, like you said, Albert, or one monster.
Same effect.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, 2B throughout all of this, he feels like he's done the right thing. Like, hey, man, this is great. Empire's here. We followed protocol. Things are going to get better now. And he doesn't really understand what's going to happen. I love the fact that completely changes by the time, Lieutenant Blake shows up here, midway through this episode, or just shortly here in just a second. But, he watches as the Imperial forces start taking Lawson down forcefully. They take Lawson away forcefully. Or not Kleiss, I should say.
Kleiss, yeah.
Yeah. And, she comes back and, she's been, quote, transferred permanently later in this episode, which, I took that to read as though, especially with the claw marks on the table
on the
that
desk,
he sees a little bit later. Yeah. It doesn't sound like she lived. At first I thought, oh, okay, they probably sent her off to, I don't know, some station or some mining colony or something to go be a prisoner or a slave, but no, I think she's dead now. So
yeah, I think she's. I know. Earlier you said there weren't any major deaths, and I don't know if we would count her as a major death if she's dead, but I do believe that she's dead.
Yeah,
I don't think that they would have made it a point to focus on the struggle inside that room and the claw marks on the table if it wasn't supposed to make Lawson think that she was no longer around. So
yeah,
I think she's gone, unfortunately.
And I think what it also does is, they had to set an example. I mean, she sounded like she was going to be a maverick and not really give them any information, give them a lot of attitude. That doesn't ever go well with the Empire. I thought maybe she probably thought, okay, because I'm the police chief, that they're not going to do anything to me, or I'm above the law in some ways or whatever. But we know that's not the case with the Empire. And so I suspect that they went ahead and did that to her, made her an example so that when they brought in Lawson, they can be like, hey, if we took her out, we can make you disappear as well. We can transfer you permanently as well. So you better fess up on what you know. And so they bring him into the interrogation room. We finally get to see that creepy scene where Merrick comes up. Like I had no idea what that scene was about because I had no context when we saw it in the trailer where he comes up and just puts his hands on his shoulders. But they made Merrick really creepy in this episode, more than he was in the Ahsoka series. Like he just seemed kind of robotic and, void of life in that one. But this one, he had a lot more personality, a lot more dialogue, of course. But yeah, he just comes across as like this creepy serial killer or, stalker, if you will, which I think was good. It plays into the fact that, he is a Jedi hunter, right? Knight of the Hunted, as the 6th title was. You know what,
it's funny that you mentioned that, that scene where he comes out of the shadows and he puts his hands on Lawson's shoulders. And then he starts to say, tell me everything. It reminded me a lot. You said creepy. It reminded me a lot of Freddy Krueger. He moved kind of like how Freddy Krueger moved in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So yeah, I thought he was creepy as well. He was just out of all of the Inquisitors that we've seen, a lot of them are like, no nonsense, stick to business, find the Jedi, get rid of them, get out. But he seems like he enjoys messing.
A little bit more sinister.
Exactly.
Yep. Any thoughts now that we've seen him a little bit here in these 2 episodes? Alive, dead? Which way are you leaning?
Merrick's state.
Yeah, his current state. Yeah,
I think he's alive because you're right. In Ahsoka, he was just like flowing with the motions, like real robotic, very unemotional. Here, he has I guess you could say he has a personality. I don't know.
Sure. I would agree.
I don't know if creepy is a personality, but yeah. So yeah, he has something here. So I think he's alive.
Okay, I'm with you. Like I was watching, and I'm like, okay, he seems like he's a humanoid of some sort. I don't know what species he is, but he seems like he's more humanoid here. So maybe this is pre him dying and turning into this ghast that we see in the Ahsoka series. But all right, I just wanted your thoughts on that. But we get so after we get that creepy scene, we go back to we're back on Janix, and Devin and Donkey are kind of talking about surviving. We start to see the conflict with Devin here. She's talking about this seems like a waste of our abilities. Reminded me of Luke Skywalker saying we're just, we're wasting our time, right? Frustrated with what was happening in the current situation. And Dacky responds back of saying, hey, it's Maul. I hear you saying it, but it's Maul's words that I hear, right? He's gotten into her, right? And she's confused. He's very powerful. He seeks only to help himself. And then we get the line that we had from the trailer, which was the Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally. Right. Which, he says that to her. And then you see where we end on episode 6 is they are essentially allies now, right? And they kind of made that very clear with the disarming of their lightsabers. But go back to the police headquarters, and Riley shows up to see his dad. If you notice the police station, it's completely littered now with people filing complaints, being, put out of place by the Empire. Everybody's there. I mean, it's way busier than it's ever been in any of the episodes. 2B tells Riley that his dad's being interrogated, and he's freaking out. Like, why are they talking to my dad? Right. Lieutenant Blake shows up, tells him that he's not to leave. He's to leave and to not come back. Tells Riley to get out of there. We have a quick moment there back where Merrick and Lawson, where Lawson warns Merrick that, he's trying to get more information about Darth Maul. And he mentions that it was an ambush, that when they went there to confront Maul, they sent a ton of squads, right? This was like episode 3, I think, maybe. And when they got out there, it was just a massacre. Maul killed a lot of them. But, he touches on something too, like you and I, and again, I know we've put a lot of tinfoil hat theories already in place and a lot of conspiracy theories here, but we did point out the fact that he was not killed by Darth Maul.
Right.
And Merrick has picked up on this now as well. Like, hey, how did you survive? Like, it's very convenient almost that you survived, but yet all your other men died. I don't know. I think there's still something there. I don't see why they would have. I think they try to play it low key when they did this scene itself. But now that Merrick's coming in and questioning, what do you think? Is there smoke here? Do you think there's something going on?
I think there's smoke here. And the thing is, I don't think Lawson knows what the smoke is, but Maul does. Because you're right. It doesn't make sense how Maul and Lawson have crossed paths, and he's still essentially the only. Well, there's the other guy that's part of the police force that like kind of runs with Lawson, the blonde-haired character. I forgot his name. He survived, but anyone who's tried to take on Maul directly, droids or otherwise, have been cut down except for him. And there were like 2 opportunities for Maul to take him out, and he did not. So I think there's smoke there, but I don't think Lawson understands what that is, but I think Maul does. And so, we should get some more answers with these last couple episodes.
Yeah. And I think when we saw that, when we did the breakdown of that episode, I said, well, maybe he saw Lawson in a vision. Maul did, and so he knows that, hey, he's got a bigger role to play in the fate of whatever happens here, or the destiny that Maul has in front of him, So maybe that's why he spared him. And that would still play true to what you said, where Maul knows why he saved him, but Lawson may not know. He may just thought, I got lucky,
Yeah.
So, but I think I'm with you. It feels like they are going to, wait, I forgot his character. Maybe it is going to be something that plays out a little bit later, because I just don't see them kind of teasing that if that wasn't going to be the case.
Exactly.
All right. We go back to Devin and Donkey. He has a good quote. They're still kind of talking through things, and she's talking about how, this is all horrible and this is their life. I mean, she's reflecting on this as though, I don't want this to be my life. Like, I don't want to be on the run the entire time. And he's constantly keeps saying, we're going to do whatever we need to do to survive. And that's stirring more conflict with her, because she just doesn't agree with, the direction there. But she also says, worry not. Throughout my long life, I have seen the galaxy endure many changes. Tyranny is always defeated. We must remain hopeful. I love this line because it's, it speaks to his I don't remember. He doesn't have, I don't know what his race is, but I know it's a newer race that we haven't seen. It sounds like he's lived a long time. Maybe he's got the gray going on and the beard and that kind of thing, but I don't know. He's probably been around for a couple hundred years, which means not only is he privy to everything that's happened here during the Clone Wars, but then everything that happened during the High Republic too. So yeah, he's seen a lot of different evolutions and variations of what tyranny looks like. And so I think he's speaking from a lot of sincerity, a lot of wisdom here, that this will all kind of come to fade and pass, which, we know it happens because we've already seen the sequel trilogy.
Right.
But it's good. It's good advice that he's kind of passing on. onto her here that they must remain hopeful. So the fact that they're bringing in hope is always a good thing with Star Wars, because it seems like that has been a constant, especially during this area of time. Yeah.
Yep. It's always been a theme of any project, whether it's animation, television, or the movies. Hope always has a role in there.
Yeah. It's one heck of a snow speeder pilot. Oh, the Wade jokes. I forgot about those. Okay, so let's they're about to jump on a train, and of course the Empire is there, and they kind of shift. They get questioned. We get to see him use the Jedi mind trick, or what's the new definition of it? I forgot now already, but he does the whole thing. You don't need to see our identification. You're free to go. It's kind of cool that we got to see him do that. They get chased into the train station, and Devin and Docky both get away. Then eventually they go into hiding, and Docky says they only need one person that they only need one person that they need to contact in order to kind of help go into hiding. And when I first watched this episode, I thought, oh, I guess he's going to go to Lawson. I did not suspect that they would be going to Riley, and I think that makes sense because he's probably a soft target compared to his dad in terms of getting them to sympathize with their plight. Merrick, there's a couple scenes here. I'll just kind of combine them real quick, but there's a couple scenes where he's going in, he's doing the Batman thing, right? Going through the investigation. He's touching things. I don't remember if he has that ability. The psycho, or was it? It's the same kind of ability that Quinlan Voss has. It's not psychopathy. That's not the right word. I forget what it is, where, he touches things and he gets memories and things, but you could hear like the battle as he was going through it. So I wasn't sure if that was directly because of his force abilities, or they were just reminding us of scenes that had happened, right? From like breaking the fourth wall, if you will, showing us that, oh, this is where this happened,
right?
Or that happened. But
it was very vague. They didn't really explain it. And I thought that made those scenes really good.
Yeah, no, I liked it too, especially the audio. You could hear the different events that were happening. But yeah, he visits the site where Maul killed a lot of Lawson's men. Eventually he leaves, and they let Lawson go. Like, he's free to go. So I think everything checked out, at least at that point. But, I say that, but then, Merrick shows up and cuts the door open. So whatever. Right. But yeah, he gets his blaster, he gets his coffee, and then he heads home. While that's going on, we get to see Riley's mom. So we suspected that we would probably see her at some point, since they did mention her. I wasn't expecting, and the fact that she was she worked for the Empire. Right. I thought it would be something a little bit more nefarious. I don't know. What did you think? Do you think she's doing anything horrible, or do you think she's just like an accountant, or working at a desk, or working in IT or something?
No, she definitely doesn't look like she works in IT. But I think she works for the Empire, but I don't think she's an officer, because she has no insignia. She has no rank or no insignia. Yeah, she has no rank. So that means if she's in the military, she's enlisted, and so she could just be a like you said, just someone that maybe an accountant, maybe an engineer, or maybe even a science area. Yeah, I don't think that she's an officer in the Empire, and we know that. Just because when they say Empire doesn't mean that you're a stormtrooper automatically, doesn't mean that you're an officer. There's lots of things. There's ISB, there's science, there's all these other parts of the Empire. Cook, exactly. Could work at the canteen. Yep. They have all this stuff. I think I want to say that she's probably maybe an engineer, maybe a science officer, but definitely not military. But I kind of not sure, because I know just in real world experience, talking to people who have been in either law enforcement or military, a lot of the stuff she said, like when Riley was like, hey, the Empire's here, troopers took him in for questioning. She went immediately to okay, well, cooperate. Don't get in their way. Cooperate. And you get a lot of that response from people that work in, military or law enforcement, to just say, hey, just cooperate. So that's why, while I think she's still in one of those other areas, maybe she could be, and she could be just an enlisted person. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get more information about what she really does for the Empire.
Yeah. I don't know that it even matters, but it would be cool to kind of know, just for our sake, what she does. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, you know, she may know that the Empire is capable of these things, and that's why she's saying, look, just listen to what they're do what they're asking you to do. Don't push back. It's not going to go well.
Right. And she said the Empire does good, or is there for a good reason. And we all know that's not the case. So again, you hear those responses in the real world from folks that are part of those organizations. So that's why I'm kind of like, is she military? I don't know. But like I said, hopefully it clears up.
And Riley tells her, like, hey, you got to come home because they're interrogating Dad. You know, he's and her first instinct is like, oh, great. What did your dad do now? Kind of thing. So that speaks to, you know, some of the conflict in their relationship. Maybe, you know, maybe those conflicts existed as when he was, as he's part of the police force, right? Not a long time ago, but some of that may be historic from when he was a bounty hunter, knowing that he's got this kind of a edgier side to him because of his background. You know, he's capable of doing things that aren't always on the up and up or whatever. But it's funny that she kind of just threw him under the bus immediately and was like, okay, it's not the Empire's fault. It's your dad's fault. What did he do now? Right. And she tries to assure him that, hey, trust me, everything's going to be fine. Okay. Everything's going to be fine. So I don't know. I think we'll see her again. I don't think she's a one and done, but you know, if we do, it'll be towards, you know, probably the end. I don't know that coming into this situation now is going to be a good thing for her. But if she does, she's still going to get sucked into all this crap that's going on.
Exactly. If she does show up and it is discovered who she is, I 100% believe that, and as part of the story, she's going to be used against Brander. They're going to either use her to lure him in or use her as a bargaining chip if she shows up. So, yeah, I don't think it would be good for her to show up, but maybe that's part of the story. We'll find out. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she works for the Empire seems too convenient, right? Like, it seems like there's some leverage there. So I'm with you on that. It feels like that's going to happen. Psychometry is the word I was looking for. So thank you, Rob, for chiming in, because could not remember that stupid word. Okay, we go back to Maul's headquarters, and you know, he's getting his knee patched up. I thought his knees were cybernetic. Like, why was he flinching, like in pain? Did I miss something? Oh, yes, it's the witchery stuff.
No.
Okay.
Last episode, remember, Master Daki kicked his leg and it buckled. And then he goes, because if you notice at the beginning of the episode, when he was talking to Vario, he limped away. So his knee was still damaged from the battle with Devin and Master Daki. No,
I get that. I guess what I'm saying is I thought his legs were completely cybernetic. Like, why did he feel pain? He winced when the shock thing or whatever it was he was working on.
I apologize. I thought you were talking about like what happened. How did
No, I remember he got kicked. Yeah, he got kicked. And we talked about this too, just quickly. I said that I like the fact that he's not invulnerable, right? We're going to see him get beat up, and I don't necessarily want to see him get completely trashed, but I like the fact that he is vulnerable. But my question was why, if he's got fully cybernetic legs, is he feeling pain? Or maybe that wasn't pain. Maybe that was shock. I don't know. Maybe it traversed up his leg and into his, I don't know, his back or something. And he was like, ow, kind of thing. But
so now I understand why you were talking about the whole mystic thing. Maybe because those, that's another thing. You know, they were generated by the Night Sisters, right?
Mother Talzin.
Mother Talzin. And so maybe they're integrated with his nervous system, but, we have Darth Tedious made a comment here that's true. He maybe those cybernetics are integrated with his nervous system, because in The Empire Strikes Back, when they gave Luke his cybernetic hand, the 21B droid was poking at it. He's like, So maybe they do feel it at depending on how they're installed, I guess.
Yeah. His were magically created, but whatever. It was interesting. I don't mind. I love the fact that, I mean, if he feels pain, then even better, right? What more would you, from a Sith, that seems like a good thing.
It's one of those things that us
or fans dark side user, my apologies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's one of those things that us fans can just discuss for hours and hours and hours.
Right. Yeah. All right. So he gets his knee patched up. Rook tells him that, tells Maul that Daki didn't make it out of the city, as well as Devin. And he's like, how fortuitous, almost like as though like, oh, too bad. I guess I'm going to go have to see her now. Right. Or this is all as the Force wills it. You know, he's almost looking at it from that perspective. So as much as we knew that would probably happen. We go back to Lawson's apartment. You know, he comes home. He's home. He's feeling exhausted. He's tired after everything he's been through. Riley's there. And of course, he's sitting there with Devin and Daki standing behind him. And I love his line. You've got to be kidding me. Like, he's got some really good lines in this too. Yep. Like Lawson later on this next episode, there's actually some really good comedic moments that feel very, very Star Wars-y, if you will. Mm-hmm. But his last line of "You got to be kidding me" is like, "Oh man, this is just getting worse." Right?
And I apologize. I am so bad with voice actors' names, but I'm sure to learn because whoever the voice actor is, this Brazilian actor, he delivers the lines on point, and he absolutely did this one. You got to be kidding me. So the way he delivered it, and then his accent. He hit it perfectly. I thought that was a perfect delivery of that line. And it was it's a simple line. Yeah, it's a simple line. And he delivered it perfectly.
Yeah. But good way to kind of close that episode out. But Wagner Moura is his name. So the Brazilian. All right, let's get into the second episode, Night of the Hunted. And we open immediately we open up with one of the cool sequences, like the best sequences in my opinion so far. Yes. Like, what a way to open up this episode where we get to see Maul spending time doing Maul things, practicing, a kata or going through some training or emotions or whatever it is that he's going through. It felt like there was mocap that was used on this one.
Yes, I could. Yes, I would agree. Smooth. It was super smooth.
Yeah.
Again.
Similar to what we got from Ahsoka and Maul during the last season there of the Clone Wars.
So yeah, this did feel like it could have been mocap. Now, could it have been straight up animation? Maybe, but the way that Maul was moving, it's like they captured those data points from a suit and superimposed it on the Maul figure in the animation, and it was great. I thought that was the perfect opening to this episode. That was awesome to see.
I mean, we just don't get to see stuff like that all the time, right? And so it's a quick insight. Didn't burn a lot of time, but it was some quick insight into what Maul's, everyday life, if you will, right? And I got to imagine he's prepping. He's trying to psych himself up, get mentally prepared for the fact that he's about to face, the Empire, but more specifically the Inquisitors. He knows they're there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's trying to get himself prepped and locked in to face those guys, but really cool to see that. I mean, they could have animated it, but that's a lot of money to get that kind of fluid animation. Yeah. That's why they go with motion capture. So I suspect that that's exactly what they did.
I'm sure if that was the case, Albert, we'll get a vignette from the Star Wars and Lucasfilm social media accounts in the next day or so that's going to focus on that if it was motion capture, because if I know we're not the only ones who have that question. I know there's others out there. So, I can guarantee. And
hold on, the follow-up question for Star Wars nerds like us that are looking at that is that Ray Park, or did they get somebody else to come in?
I don't think they would touch Ray Park right now with 100 million foot pole.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, I know as much as I'd love for it to be Ray Park, man, if you follow his social media account, probably not him.
Probably and if you don't follow his social media accounts, don't start.
Don't follow. Yeah, right.
No, don't start.
Ray, man, get some help, buddy.
Get some help, buddy. We love you, dude.
Yeah,
get some help, man.
Mm-hmm. But either way, it does, and they could have brought in, anybody really to kind of do all those moves, because it was just kind of like a kata practice training kind of thing. So anyways,
exactly.
Rook comes in, says, hey, there's something you got to see. He goes over and looks on the vid and sees Marok there, and he kind of looks happy, like, heck yeah, you got some real competition now. You know what I mean? Like, this is where it all kind of starts for me and getting my revenge against the Empire. I'm going to take out these lackeys who, I'm an actual Sith Lord, bona fide Sith Lord. These guys are not, similar to how Vader looked down on the Inquisitors. I suspect that's exactly how Maul is looking down on the Inquisitors. So I'm good. I'm excited to see more of that, which we get in this episode, but I want to see more, especially when the 11th brother shows up. 11th? I think it's the 11th. I can lose track of all these guys.
I know.
But yeah, he looks happy. He looks like he's going to be relishing in that moment to fight him. And then we go back to the apartment. We get the grown-up talk where he says, Riley, let's let the grown-ups talk.
And
they get to go to the
here's
room.
the thing. On this show, it was not on my bingo card that Riley and Devin would actually they would actually be like a team. I did not anticipate that at all.
Well, my wacko theory of him becoming, the apprentice is got to be there at some point. They've got to meet.
Hey, it's still technically on the table.
Yeah.
It's still technically on the table.
You're a good friend for leading me on, like I said. But yeah, so they go into their room. I love the fact that he's like cleaning up his room. Like, holy crap! I haven't had anybody in this room in forever, and now it's a girl. Like,
it's a girl.
This is what my kids would be doing right now. Is like, picking up all their crap and trying to make it look like they don't live like pigs.
Here's the one thing that I know. I don't want to say I know, because Dave Filoni is a big a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, so he likes sports. But I thought they were like giving a shout out to Star Wars fans, and either giving a shout out or just feeding into a stereotype that Star Wars fans don't really care for sports. Because when Devin was holding that ball, they're like, "What do you? Oh, you mean sports?" I was like, "What? Come on now."
Well, I mean, it's like and for Jedi, like they don't really have sports. I think in the High Republic they had a couple of like relay races and just for fun kind of stuff, but nothing serious. But I mean, how often do we get this? For a Jedi, they don't do any of that stuff.
Well, and here's the thing: is that's at least in my experience in television or movie projects, media, that's the first time they referred to anything as sports. So
that's true.
Yeah. So I guess athletic competition in the Star Wars galaxy is called sports.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think they might have done in the books. They probably did, but you're right. Like on screen,
right? On screen,
they've ever used that word. Interesting. Yeah. All right. But yeah, he talks about how he plays Bodekin and he's a big player and that kind of thing. And she kind of like, I don't know about that.
Like that. Sports, yeah.
I love the fact that too, when she was about to go in that room, Lawson kind of jabbed at her and he's like, "Don't let her steal anything."
Yeah,
which is how all this got started, right? When you think back to their first relationship, of course, or when they first met each other. But Daki gets to kind of do some exposition, and this is exactly what I was talking about. I figured they would kind of eventually come around to start revealing who people were and what their intent was. So yeah, reveals himself as Iko Daki Diodaki. He mentions that he and Devin survived what he would call a purge. No one uses the word Order 66, right? They don't see that. It's an imperial term that was used. But for everybody from the outside looking in, it's like, it's just the Jedi purge is what it was called. So he mentions that they survived the purge. Says that they've been on the run from the Empire, looking for refuge. Lawson says that he has a kid to think about, and he really can't help him because he's right. It's like, I don't want to get my kid involved. That's exactly what happens. Like here in just a second, the kid is really involved more than he wants by the end of this episode. And he tells Daki that he heard the Empire over talking about Inquisitors. If you look at Daki's face, like it seems like he's aware, like he knows who the Inquisitors are, right? And he's like a little concerned by that. We go over quickly to the kids' room. Again, mentioned he's trying to clean up his room. He mentions that his mom works on Coruscant, so got confirmation that not only did she join the Empire, but she went to like the headquarters of the Empire. And that because he was involved in sports and all that stuff, that he decided to stay and live with his dad. So we get the whole, background, at least there. It doesn't sound like it's an amicable relationship between him and his or between Lawson and his wife. I don't know. I don't know if they've like divorced. It sounds like they might be separated and are content with the separation. So
because he said they're not together. He didn't say they divorced or he said they're not together.
Yeah. So, again, as Star Wars is lightsabers and spaceships and hyperdrives and Wookiees and all that stuff. But at the heart of it is these familiar issues that we have and, who we choose to be our family. Right. And so it's good that we're seeing some of that here as well. All right. So the Empire finally arrives. We're completely, taken by surprise because there's a lightsaber that blows through the door like out of nowhere. And I thought, wow, that's quite an entry here. But Merrick cuts the door open. We get a whole sequence here where Devin and Donkey are fighting Marek, and the kids jump in. The kids are right there, and I'm not the kids, but Lawson and his son are then head out the window. I love the fact that this is like it's a very kind of like Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones line where he says, "This keeps getting better." You know what I mean? It's kind of like that sarcasm that Indy has. He gets to do a lot of that. And I think that's why I love this character as much as I do so far. But yeah, Riley and Lawson head out the window. Donkey tells Devin to protect him. So he sends Devin out there. And then we get a really quick action sequence between Donkey and Marek. And this is where I said the choreography, the blocking is just really good. I mean, great use of the space. Of course, there's lightsabers going around, starting fires. The whole apartment burns down. I would assume at this point because they left that thing in flames. And we'll see how this has an impact on Riley, right? Riley and Lawson, because I mean, he said everything. He doesn't live with his mom, right? Everything that he owns is in there. And now that the Empire's there, they've destroyed it all, right? He can blame the Empire for all this happening. So he's going to have some loss there, which, again, going into my theory, maybe. That's enough to get him started on Dark.
I'm telling you, it's still on the table.
But yeah, the apartment starts to burn down. There's a moment there where Marek force pushes Donkey, and I thought, okay, this is it. He's gonna take him out.
I was like, here it comes, because
I thought it was good.
Really, in any trailer, I think, in my opinion, from trailers and other media spots, sizzle reels, we've seen all the scenes that were in the trailers and sizzle reels and whatnot of Donkey. So I thought, okay, this is it right here. He's going to get cut down by Marek.
Yep. No, didn't happen.
He survived. Yep.
He survived. And it was cool because he got to use he pulled down the lighting fixture or whatever on top of him. But again, you're watching this and going, okay, Marek's not gone because we know he's going to fight Maul at some point because we saw that in the trailers. But then we go to the outside. So they've climbed up the fire escape or whatever the heck that was to get to the very top of the building there. And then I like Devin. Devin's got a good line where she says, "Hey, Lawson, maybe the roof wasn't the best plan." He fires back very quickly, like, "Hey, maybe showing up at my doorstep was the best plan." So I love that. Again, like the dialogue here was really good stuff. But Riley is she's shocked that his dad is attacking the Empire because when that dropship shows up, he fires and kills one. I mean, he's a dead eye. He shoots one of the stormtroopers there. Later on, he takes a shot at one of the guys flying one of the dropships that's chasing them.
He takes out the pilot.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a pretty good shot. So I love the fact that he's got this bounty hunter background. He's got he's obviously a law enforcement agent now, but he's got some skills. He's not just, kind of like a run-of-the-mill type guy. So Daki shows up. They take out the rest of the stormtroopers except the pilot that's in there. Marek shows up, and that's when he tells Devin, "Hey, take the gunship." She has a really cool moment there where she, jumps up there and uses the force. She uses, I think, the lightsaber, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of cut the side of the cockpit open. She force pushes him, throws him out or whatever, and then closes it back up and takes control of the ship. All that, it happens in a really quick moment. But you think about it, I mean, she's kind of like a Padawan, right? But she's really good. She's very
proficient.
adept. You can see why Maul would want her.
Exactly. She has a lot of skill, and you're exactly right. That Maul understands that, and I think Donkey knows that to an extent because when they were under attack by Marek and Devin and Riley were out and they were doing their thing trying to escape. Lawson was trying to say, "Hey, I got to get to Riley," and Master Donkey was like, "Devon, my Padawan will protect her. She's proficient. She will protect him." So I think both Donkey and Maul know that she could take care of herself, and she's actually, if tuned appropriately, will be an effective weapon.
Yep.
At least from Maul's perspective, he thinks that.
Right. So they all get on the ship except for Donkey. He's still fighting Marek, trying to keep him away so that they can get onto the ship.
And I thought that was going to be the next time that he was going to buy it. Exactly. Yeah.
Just keeps knocking on death's door.
Exactly.
And thankfully, Devin turns it around, fires the gunship, and that pushes Marek back farther enough so that he can actually jump on and they escape. And I thought, okay, well, that's cool. They got away. We're going to get some downtime. Nope. We pick right up with like 3 gunships suddenly coming in, swooping in. So This again, the pacing of this and just the action sequence. I mean, it was really long, and it was done very, very well. But those three additional gunships show up. Lawson takes out one, and then Devin just kind of forces the other two to kind of crash based on, you know, her kind of daredevil Maverick type flying of that ship. I like the fact that he asked like, hey, you know, have you ever flown one of these things before? And she's like, no, not really. I started wondering, like, I wonder if Lawson has actually flown one of these things before. And that's why he was asking. Cause I think he was going to be like, hey, I've done this before. Let me take over. I got this kind of thing.
Well, she said, well, do you want to pilot this?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And then that's when Devin started doing the maneuvers and made those two gunships crash. And then he kind of had that look on his face like, huh? You know?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, it was that was one of those moments that you're talking about. He had that you know, Indiana Jones, Han Solo sarcasm, and I thought that played really well there.
Yeah. Rob says, is it just me, or do you think Uncle Dacky is going to get killed off during every fight scene? Yes. Yeah, like we had him on death watch, right? Like we said he was going to leave, and maybe I'm trying to will this into existence, but I think they've done a good job of, you know, just not really teasing us too much, but making us think that, okay, this is the moment. Like, all right, here's the moment where this dude's going to die, and he doesn't. And maybe if this keeps going, I may have to reconsider, you know, him dying and say, I don't think he's going to die. Like, he's just going to live, you know, throughout this season. Maybe he'll make it to season 2, maybe.
It has nothing to do with whether Dacky lives or dies, but I was talking to some other Star Wars fans, and they actually got together and put together a pool that if it is sometime in this series, will Dacky say, are you in good hands? or either are you in good hands or you are in good hands.
You are in good hands.
And let's see if he actually says that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess
that would be awesome, though.
It would be awesome if they snuck that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to hear it. Yeah. It's going to be the meme where, you know, what's his name? Leonardo's pointing at the screen there.
They're like, hey,
he said it.
Yeah, when he's whistling. Yep, he said it.
He said the thing. Okay, so we where are we on this thing? So they were getting chased. Devin, you know, is flying around. She's being risky. She shakes both of them up, blows them up, and then Riley asks why the Empire is doing this, and his dad is like, the Empire isn't what you think it is. Like, I know your mom works for them, and you probably have a certain, you know, image of what the Empire is because they've brought, you know, maybe his mom's got a stable job and she's got benefits and all the great stuff, but, you know, 401k, retirement, whatever, but they're not the good guys here, Riley. You know, that's probably what he was telling her. So telling him.
I'm sorry, Albert, that was really funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Empire's great. We have benefits.
Yeah, right.
We have medical and dental.
Yeah. 401k, that full 9 yards, right?
And
childcare.
We contribute 2%.
2%. Yeah. Pet insurance. Yep. The whole thing.
Oh my God.
I'm sure they do. They got to. They're a big corporation.
Yeah, they have to. They're a huge corporation.
Yeah. So one of the cool things though was, and this, you know, we don't get to see this a lot, but the transition, I don't know if you noticed, but when that explosion happened, that last explosion, the smoke from the explosion transitions to the scene where we see the ATST and the stormtroopers walking. Yep. I love that. That was a really smooth transition that just happened there. So
I don't know if that's what we would call like great, like cinematography, but if that's what it was, that was perfect.
Yeah. I think it's more direction than cinematography, but yeah, it was still great. I loved it. We don't see enough of that in Star Wars. I mean, we get the wipes and all that stuff, but things like that are a little different. Which
I'm glad to see that, because I know back when I think it was between episode 8 and 9, Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams came back and said, "Okay, the wipes are done. You know, they don't make sense at this point anymore. The wipes are done." But we have seen them in Filoni projects.
Oh yeah, so they're never going to go away.
Yeah, they're never going to go. So hopefully, I'm hoping, and I think we've seen maybe one or two, but in the Mandalorian and Grogu trailers. But obviously, those are trailers and things can change. So I'm hoping to see those wipes back in the movie itself. But yeah, I digress.
Rob says 401k and insurance, but no OSHA. That's exactly right. Because where Rob is going is we've had a tradition on this show for many years calling out the fact that the Empire does not use handrails on any of their bridges. Like there are no guardrails whatsoever, right? Oh, there he is. Yep, see, guardrails. Rob knows. He's been here a while, man. But yeah, I don't know what it is they got against guardrails, but it is definitely an OSHA violation. Okay.
I think it's because they don't want Lord Vader or the Emperor to snag their robes.
Oh, that's true, right? They got a lot of flowy clothing, and so
exactly,
they can't have
or Krennic. He's still alive at this time, so
yeah, it's true too. Mm-hmm. All right, we go back to the police headquarters, and 2B is thinking that Lawson is going. He's like, oh, he's going to be so happy the Empire's here, and the way they're responding, et cetera, et cetera. And then as he says that, right at that moment, the wanted signs go up, showing that Lawson is wanted for treason. And I think Blake comes in and says that their legal force has been authorized. So it's kind of a shoot to kill. Lethal, sorry, not legal, but lethal force has been authorized. And then we get that personal attack on him where Blake is like, hey, those boots you're wearing, they're not standard issue, droid. Get rid of them, right? And that's the first time you see it on 2B's face where he's like, that's not cool. Like they're robbing me of my identity. I know I said that it seems kind of small and trivial, but that's essentially what it is. Like he's not allowed to be an individual, right? That loss of identity comes with the Empire. It's the whitewashing of all of what they do when they come and take over a place and making everybody conform to, gray standards, if you will. So we'll see. I don't know that I suspect that by the end of the series, he's going to hate the Empire and maybe regret some of the decisions that he's made so far, especially since they're making him take off his little fashionable boots there at the very end.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Lawson decides that, hey, we got to go visit Rena Soul. She's going to be our best bet to get you guys off this planet. He says he's going to get some help from an old friend. And, when they ask when they ask her, hey, she asks, where do you want to go? And they say somewhere the Empire is not. It's so funny. The first thing I was like, yeah, good luck with that. And literally she says the same words, good luck with that. Because I mean, it's true. Even in the Outer Rim, it's just a matter of time before the Empire comes to you, right? Think about Andor and they were on the run. They thought they were safe, but it's, the Empire it's a disease. It's an infection. It starts to spread and it's only a matter of time before they do show up.
Mm-hmm.
Lawson,
exactly right.
Lawson pleads with Rena. Riley looks suspicious of the relationship. So he caught that. Like, I don't know if she was like the homewrecker or just someone that, maybe, Riley, he says that, hey, she talks about her or whatever, I think is what he says. But, maybe he sees more there than he wants to see.
Because he does say she's one of Dad's informants, and he kind of puts enunciation on that word, like
informants.
Informant, yeah. So
side squeeze or whatever.
A side chick.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
But okay. So while that would be a first for Star Wars, something like having a woman
extramarital affair.
Exactly. I think that would be a first here. I don't. Here's where I see it. Now, could that play out? Yes, because that does make sense. But I think the reason why Riley has an issue with it is because that's a connection to his dad's darker time when he was a bounty hunter, when he was essentially running from the law or breaking the law or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's why he has that negative tone and the negative connotation to Soul, is because that's a part of his past that he doesn't want his dad to be a part of anymore.
Okay, so he's relating that to her, not necessarily
right. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see that too. And I don't think they're getting into extramarital stuff. I mean, even if they did, what they've done is enough. Like they don't need to do any more. Right. The suspicion's there. We can kind of put two and two together and say, okay, it doesn't matter if it was a full-fledged thing or if it was just enough to kind of really be the proverbial, nail in the coffin or whatever that separated them. That's enough. I think they've done enough to kind of stew that a little bit. Because what's important here is the fact that they do trust each other. And when I think, I don't know if it's here a little bit later, when Lawson is telling Daki about her, he mentions that, hey, I saved, she's alive because I saved her, because I was there, and I'm here because she was there. Right? They saved each other's lives. And so they went through something together. Right. Mm-hmm. And it could just be it could just be as simple as that. But yeah, anyways, he says, we'll see what we can do. And so they head over to the to the place there. Side squeeze. Sorry, I don't know what the heck what I was trying to say. He says, side squeeze. What are you, a 1930s bank robber? Maybe. It's about the year I was born. We go back to Maul's headquarters, and this is where Rook is kind of chastising Maul for going to save the girl from the Jedi Hunter. It's almost like a 2-win situation for him, right? He can go get his apprentice, and he's going to be able to go kill these Inquisitors, and he's going to be able to kind of leverage all of that to play into his, proposition that, hey, we're both on the same side because the Empire are the bad guys, right? So it's for him, it's a win-win in both situations. He calls it an opportunity. Right. Says the strongest metal is forged at the Crucible. And then Maul says that if she survives, she'll become his ally. He knows that if he can get to her and they survive this, it's going to galvanize exactly what he just said. And sure enough, that's exactly what plays out at the very end, because they both, de-ignite their lightsabers and kind of call it a truce, at least for now. We go to the casino there. This is where he kind of talks about the stuff that went down on Catalor, right? The Empire shows up. Rena goes down to go see the imps. I love that. And he's like, this is another one. He goes, in case it gets messy, run. And then immediately after she leaves, he's like, I'd get ready to run. Like, he knows her. He knows what's going to happen. It's going to get messy. And sure enough, it does.
She takes him out. She has skills. She takes him out.
Yeah, because she's like, hey, I'm the owner of this establishment. And they're like, yeah, whatever. We're the Empire. And she beats the crap out of that guy. And then you see the blasters fire and she takes off. And, she's got that little kind of lift, that secret lift that they go into. And they send down the kids first. But yeah, that's not before she pulverizes that poor stormtrooper. And then he has another little quip there. He says, so much for that, right? That's what Lawson says. And so they head down in the lift there. And then once the kids are away, the stormtroopers start pouring out of the main lift there. And we get to see Devin. We get to see Docky and Lawson then do a little good team up. Yeah, working together. Exactly. That was really cool. The little synergy that they had going on there.
And that wasn't on my bingo card either.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yep.
Okay, so Paisley, thank you. That's just the word I was looking. Side piece is what I was looking for. I don't know why I said side squeeze, but
you said side squeeze. I said side. You said side squeeze. I said side chick. And that's what we were looking for.
We're both clearly out of our element here. A bunch of old dudes trying to use modern terms, lexicon. Yep. Yeah, not good. Side squeeze. All right. Anyway, our side piece. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Back to the show at hand. Let's see. Yeah, they had a good little fight thing going on there, and then we got Riley and Devin sneaking around. They almost run into the troopers, and I think Merrick is also there as well, kind of like in the parking garage is kind of what it looked like to me. And then Dacky and Lawson fight off more troopers. Another great action sequence. I love the music that's happening here as well. I know we haven't talked a lot about the music, but it's been really effective. Whether it's harking back to tones and pieces that we're already familiar with, or just the new stuff that they've gone, it's really created a really cool atmosphere for this series. So again, kudos to the Kiner kids and their dad for all contributing to the music. But I thought the music in this action sequence here was especially well done. So really enjoyed that. And then Spybot, lurking like Laserbeak, like you mentioned, he sees Devin and Riley, and then he goes to tell Maul where they are, which leads him to the train station. And this is really where it starts just full adrenaline, right? We get Merrick showing up. We get a really cool action sequence between Merrick and Riley. Definitely can hold her own, she's trying to hold him off while Riley jumps onto the train. And I love the fact that, after that battle sequence, and I know we're skipping over a lot of the nuances of the battle sequence, but again, it's just really good choreography. But I love the fact that after he kind of force pushed her back, she kind of sniffs and then kind of rolls her wrist. It's just little things like that. She rolls her wrist like, okay, all right, I'm good. And then she jumps onto the train as it's pulling away. And of course, Merrick jumps on the last cart possible. So, figured he'd probably get on there too. But yeah, great fight. It was a great tension on that train the entire time when that fight, because it doesn't stop. Again, we're just keep rolling with one thing after another, one action sequence after another. But man, the lighting, the visuals that were going on here with the lightsabers clashing on this small confined space, the direction that was given by, I don't know who the director is. I didn't even look at that. I haven't had a chance to look at who on the credits yet, but the direction and just some of the shots and stuff. I mean, it's just like top stuff that we've gotten from Star Wars, whether it's animation or live action.
Mm-hmm. No, this whole sequence was the cream of the crop. We talked about like at the beginning where Maul was practicing his moves, how smooth it looked. It continued on to in this scene, the lightsaber battle between those three. I know I said last week it was the best that I've seen from Lucasfilm Animation. This week is now the best. This episode 6, that particular scene, the best I've ever seen from Lucasfilm Animation. It was beautiful. I was just on the edge of my seat, and I don't normally do that for like animated shows, right?
Yeah,
but I was at the edge of my seat for that duel. It was amazing.
It's gotten better, and I think when you look at, I think a lot of people are looking at these 2 episodes as like the best episodes, but that's what we want to see, right? We want to see a show that progressively gets better and better over time. You don't need to be 100% all the time because things got to calm down. But yeah, this is a good sign that we're just halfway through the halfway mark now, and we're getting this level of quality. That's the bar, right? We've got to. It feels like that's going to have to be met now for the last group of series, and it also explains why they've signed on to do a season 2. Like we're getting, this is such good stuff from every angle, no pun intended, but from everybody that's part of this creative team, that there was a good sign going. And we talked about this during the last hype show, because that was when it was announced that they were doing a season 2, even before this came out. We're like, okay, that's probably a good sign that this series is going to do really well. It's probably done well with the viewers and some of the initial reviews and stuff. So anyways, great stuff here. And then, of course, we get down to the nitty gritty, right? He's, talks about where is Maul, and then we get to see Maul jump. Now, I want to say this, because when we broke down the trailer, we saw that, I was talking about that red light thing that was on there. Did you notice it in this one?
I did not.
Yeah. So maybe it was cleaned up. I didn't see it. I need to go back and watch it again. But for anybody that doesn't know, when we broke down this trailer, I had pointed out that there were a couple frames where there seemed like there was some kind of cybernetic thing with a red light on the back of Maul before he jumps off. And then there's a couple frames where he flips, and as he's flipping, that thing goes into his arm. And we spent, probably more time than we needed to, but that's what we do here. We spent a lot of time talking about what possibly that could be. And I think you and I maybe said, okay, well, this is just like pre-production type stuff, and it's going to get cleaned up in post. I need to go back and watch it again. It didn't, it didn't jump out at me as much as it did in the trailer. So maybe it was cleaned up. If it's still there, then I've got a lot of questions as to why that was allowed to happen. I don't think it's anything relative to I don't think it's anything. It feels like it's going to be an anomaly, right? Or just some kind of weird glitch in the animation. I don't think it has anything to do with the story at this point, though. Either way. No,
I agree. The one thing that I did take into effect right before Maul shows up is, the Devin and Marek clash the sabers. He's like, where's Maul?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, you have a Jedi right there. Your job is to eradicate them as well. But
he's more interested in that.
He's more interested in Maul. So that goes back to what I was saying, is that they're Jedi, they'll be dealt with, but Maul is the bigger threat.
Yeah. I can see that too, right? I mean, especially if Emperor Palpatine finds out or knows that Maul's out there, that's going to be big, because he knows he escaped, right? And they know he's been out for a while. They just haven't been able to confirm that he's been alive or dead, and so that is the confirmation there. So he's probably more interested in that. You've also got Vader too, like maybe even the Grand Inquisitor, and or Vader both have probably more interest in stalking somebody like Maul than they do the Jedi, because they've already killed a lot of Jedi. There's still more out there. They're cockroaches. They'll find them at some point, but this guy is like the supreme cockroach. He's been very elusive. Right. He's still out there, still on the run. So this is kind of a big prize for them, big game hunter kind of thing. So you're right. I didn't catch that, but yeah, you're right. He seems to be more interested in snuffing out Maul than he is the Jedi. But where's Maul? I'm right here. He does his little flip. He looks at Devin, and then you hear Marek say, "So it's true, you live," right? So again, big deal, confirmation there. They have their fight. Again, we're not going to get into all the details, but some really good stuff there with the lightsabers clashing.
Mhm.
And then Devin, when she enters the fight, it's now, her and Maul against Marok, and he's able to kind of hold his own. And then we get that scene that we knew was coming where Maul kind of saves her from being cut. And when you look at her eyes, she is kind of looking up at Maul like, holy crap, you just saved me kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So this plays all into, what he's been talking about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And then we get Maul, Marok, and Devin fighting more. Marok force pushes those crates, and then Devin runs in, protects Riley at that point. And then the big moment for me, I think, was just when the blades ignited.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a good fanboy moment. Like, here
exactly.
we go.
It's like, I actually like, we're like, when I saw that, it was, when Marok,
ignites his first.
He ignites his first, and it starts spinning. Maul does the same thing, and he starts doing the Maul spin, and they were spinning at the same time. And I was like, yes, this is what we want.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I liked it too because you think about the way I look at Maul is he's somebody who's kind of like classically trained. You know what I mean? Like in the art itself, he was trained by Palpatine, and he's more basic. When you look at the Inquisitors, they've got the fancy lightsabers that spin, and all that. So I like the fact that it was like old school versus new school kind of fighting, and the fact that Maul was like, "Hey, you got a double lightsaber bladed lightsaber. I've got one too.
Lightsaber.
Yeah. He's like, I got one too." And so when he ignited that, the only thing that was missing there, and this is not a critique because I would still rank this up there as like a really high point of the series so far. But the only thing that was missing is they would have given us like some really good music to kind of like some kind of a syncope going on with the actual igniting of the lightsaber. It doesn't need to be Duel of Fates, but just something that was super memorable, or maybe even louder. I'll have to go back and watch it and see if there was something after all. But that would be the only thing was missing, because that was an iconic, legendary moment for Darth Maul, especially in this part of his life, to say, "Yeah, buddy, I got one too," and you have no idea who you were messing with, because I'm the real deal, bro.
Exactly. And that whole scene after that was just awesome.
Yeah. So they fight with their double-bladed lightsabers. And then Maul throws his, which we're going to see later as well. Like there's a sequence that from one of the trailers where he does it and takes out some folks, but we get to see him throw it. And that's enough to push Marok back onto the last cart there of the train, just as Devin kind of swipes down and decouples that, stranding Marok in that tunnel for God knows how. I don't know how he's going to get back. He got back pretty quick, because I was thinking like, wow, they're really in that tunnel, so he's got a long walk ahead of him. But that last moment there too, like after that happens, I love the fact that she turned to him and like, okay, let's do this, right? Like, I know this is what you want. It's time for you and I to fight. And we all knew that Maul was going to turn his lightsaber off, and sure enough, he does. But the fact that she turns hers off too is kind of that sign of like, okay, maybe not directly, but we are allies at this point, right? We got a common enemy, and that's what Maul says. He says, where's that? I thought that line on there. Yeah, he says, now you see the face of your true enemy, right?
Yep.
Which is everything that he told her at the very beginning.
Yep. Exactly. It registers with her, and now, if not firmly down the path to becoming his apprentice, she at least realizes that he is a valuable, if not ally, then asset to help them survive.
Right. Yeah, because I think she looks at Maul as like, okay, he wants to confront the bad, right? He wants to take the bad out, even though he may be bad himself. Whereas my master does not want to. He just wants to run. He just wants to hide. And clearly, with us combined, we've just proven that we're capable of taking on somebody like Marok and the Empire. So why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we fight that battle?
Exactly.
And that's her perspective, I'm sure, especially, an adolescent, somebody who's got the angst and is frustrated with the situation, feels confident in her abilities, knows, we've seen her prowess, and she's very good with the lightsaber and very good with her Jedi skills. So it feels like, this is, he's got the right person here to tap as being the next, apprentice for himself. But the final scene here is Marok, and there's been a lot of discussion about this scene. We talked about it, I think, during one of the breakdowns, or maybe we didn't. I think this came out in a TV spot that we didn't get a chance to talk about late in the week, but there was a TV spot where we got to see Marok bend down and say, "My lord, I can confirm the presence of Maul." We didn't get the rest of that. He says he is more dangerous than we suspected. It seems he is in league with 2 Jedi. How should I proceed? And so that sent a lot of people wondering, okay, is this going to be a Darth Vader appearance? Is it the Grand Inquisitor? How do you feel after seeing this, I don't know, 8 hours later? Where do you stand, or 12 hours later? Where do you stand with it?
I think he's talking to the Emperor.
Okay.
I think that because holograms can be several aspects. It could be the whole body, it could be half the body, or
Just
it could just be the head. And what it looked like, it was the side of a hooded Emperor Palpatine that he was talking to.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think it's Palpatine is because the only one that had a direct relationship with Maul was Palpatine.
Yeah.
So I think he went directly to the source to say, hey, your old apprentice is still alive with 2 Jedi. And he's dangerous. What do you think we should do?
Yep.
So I think it's Palpatine.
I think it is too. I think it's Palpatine. I don't think it's Lord Vader. I mean, I'm still hoping that we get a Vader appearance. It feels like maybe after he let's just fast forward. So I suspect then if it is Palpatine, Palpatine's going to say, "Hey, stay there. I'm going to send some more help, or I'll have Vader send more help, or whatever." And that's how we get the Crow show up. The 11th brother shows up at that point, right? And then after those 2 are gone, they're not dead. They don't die here. But I think at some point, if they're able to contend with those 2, then maybe we get like a Vader appearance at the very end, right? Where he's like, okay, I'm sending in the muscle at this point.
Right. Exactly. It's similar to what we saw in Rebels, where, the Grand Inquisitor and his group couldn't really handle, Ezra and Kanan, and guess who shows up?
Yeah. TIE fighter surfing Vader.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that could happen. At the same time, I don't know that I want Vader to show up either. Like, I don't know. We talked about this in the final hype show, but
yeah, I wouldn't want him to show up in this season.
Yeah.
It needs to be later on. Again, let Maul, because it's working to perfection. Let Maul show us who he is now in this form, in this state that he's in. Let's see that. And that's what they're absolutely giving us. And I don't think they should deviate from that plan.
I think the question that, we'll probably talk about this on the, I think it's probably a better conversation to have when we get to the final 2 episodes, but just for a moment, let's just say that Maul lives. We know he lives, right? But if they stay on Janix and the Empire is already here and they've already sent 2 Inquisitors and there's a potential that they'll send Vader, like, how does he establish any power at that point? Like, they just feels like they are locked in on him now. So it almost seems like he's got to leave. He's got to get off this planet. Like, as much as he wants to stay, I think he's just trying to get Devin, and then they're going to book it. And so maybe season 2 is really about now the Empire's after Maul and Devin looking for them. But I can't see it. But at the same time, he's still got to bring all of these gangsters together. It feels like a really hard situation for him to get out of, but I just don't see how he can stay on Janix, I guess is where I was going with that.
So here's a theory that actually just popped into my head right now. We talk about, they send Marok, they send the Crow. Obviously, he fends those 2 off. Those 2 survive. We know that, right?
Yep. Right.
Then, okay, again, this is all speculation at this point. The Emperor sends Vader. What if he gains power through respect because he ones up on Vader?
So Vader lets him live?
No, he takes him on and takes him and damages him, or defeats him, I should say. And that, in the eyes of the crime syndicate, say, okay, this guy defeated Vader. He's someone that we need to take seriously.
So he just accumulates power naturally through that without having to
because of the reputation that he gets by being someone who defeated Vader.
Yeah.
Which
it's either that or go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying, because we've seen Vader get hurt, whether it's by Ahsoka in Rebels or by Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it could be a situation where maybe he cuts off one of his cybernetic arms, and that's considered a victory against Vader. And that allows his reputation to grow in the crime world. And that's how he jolts up to power. But that I can say that if that happens, a lot of fans will be in a difficult spot, because I know the mantra since Maul was introduced, like, the theory of what if Maul faced Vader, everyone's like, no, Vader would wipe the floor with him.
Yeah.
So it would be a real big stretch for Filoni and company to say, okay, that plan, our plan is to eventually have Maul take on Vader, and Maul actually defeat him, not kill him, defeat him. And then he gets out, and then that word spreads around the galaxy. And that is what helps him get to where he is at, like when we see him in Solo.
Yeah.
So that's the theory that just entered my mind when you said that. So, obviously it's a we'll see, but that's just what entered my mind.
Yeah. The other option would be for Maul to somehow make the Empire think that he's gone, which seems tropey, and we've done it a lot in Star Wars, right? But if they did think that Maul was gone, Devin was gone, and what would become Crimson Dawn is gone, then they would leave. Like, I don't see why they would stay on Janix, unless Janix had something to offer them, right? They're only there right now because they're after him, but it's not like a planet rich in resources that we know of, or there's no real reason for them to stay on there. So, if he did that, then okay, then the Empire leaves and allows them to kind of grow again in the shadows, if you will. But yeah, the Empire's got to go some way, or Maul's got to go. They can't both be there and Maul rise to power. I don't see how he rises to power with the Empire present on Janix, But
that's fair. Fair.
We'll have to see. We can talk more about that. I'm sure that'll kind of play in. We'll get fleshed out here a little bit later. But that's the last part of it. I think you and I are both saying not Vader, not the Grand Inquisitor. It's the Emperor himself. That seems to make the most sense to me too, simply because of, again, he's the only one that really had that relationship with Maul, had him captured, and did that whole stuff, killed his brother and everything else. So it seems very personal about that. But looking ahead,
right.
Chapter 7 coming up. We got Call to the Oblivion, and then Chapter 8, The Creeping Fear. So, what do you where do you want to see the show go? We don't necessarily speculate on the titles, or what do you think? Where you want to see this next? Or do you think we're going to get more of, I guess, the grooming that's happening with Maul? Are we going to kind of let off on the gas pedal just a little bit in terms of action, so we can build that relationship up?
So I think we might get a little lull where that whole dynamic will expand a little bit. But I think what's going to happen, and obviously this is because we've seen this in trailers and whatnot, the Crow is going to show up, the 11th brother, and then we're just going to pick right back up. And then it's the whole thing of like, okay, when is Master Daki going to die? Is he dying now? Is he going to die here? So I think we will see that, because, they kind of left us on that leg there that, Devin now understands that, Maul may be an adversary, but the Empire is the enemy. And I think there's going to be a lot of friction between her and Daki whenever they reunite. So that whole dynamic between those three need to play out. Not to mention, what is Lawson going to do now? He is a fugitive, and most likely his son has been tagged a fugitive, and his mother and wife, ex-wife, whatever they are, works for the Empire. How is that all going to play out? I know that has to have a part in the storyline in these last 4 episodes. Yeah,
I think you're hitting on all the right things, at least the right questions too. We've got you got the Empire after Lawson. You've got Maul now, who has not 1 but 2 teenagers that he's got, right? And so I suspect we're going to get more of the pairing up of, Lawson and Daki as they're searching for the kids. Two Boots has a role to play in all this as well. So he may come to the aid of somebody like Lawson and maybe doing some investigation to try to find him, or find the droids, or find the kids, maybe. I don't know, but he's got a role to play in all this as well. It'd be interesting if the mom comes into play. I like the leverage piece of it, that component, to get, maybe if nothing else, maybe he contacts her and says, look, I got your kid. I'm going to need your help though, because I need whatever codes from the Empire. I need to know where they're going or whatever, right? Having some inside information may be enough to kind of tip the tide, or change the tide, if you will, for, whatever he's planning to do to get the Empire out of there or take over the Empire. But so far it seems like there's no big shockers or surprises, but there's enough here that's very intriguing that I cannot wait to see, where the series goes and where it ends. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely,
and how they set up season 2.
That they have really done a good job of essentially stacking on the story through these first 6 episodes. They've stacked on to what was explained previously. There really haven't been any loose ends, so they're doing a masterful job of telling this story. So like you, I can't wait to see where this all leads up to.
All right. Well, we'll end the show there. Before we get out of here, just a reminder that we'll be here on Wednesday for our first Road to Celebration episode. That'll be a lot of inside information that you hopefully will be advantageous for you if you're planning to go to Star Wars Celebration. If you are going to Star Wars Celebration and know you are, let us know, because we are going to be planning some kind of a meetup with our listeners and supporters. So it would be nice to just kind of get people on the radar, get them on the list, and so that we can kind of touch base, have lunch, do dinner. We've done a couple of different things over the years at Star Wars Celebration, but that's always the best part for me. I love all the stuff that we do with the going and seeing the first releases and teasers, and all the press stuff is all exciting as well, but it's really interacting with our fellow, Star Wars fans that support this show. So let us know if you plan to go see Celebration. Would love to meet up with you guys there. We'll have something planned for that. But anyways, Wednesday will be the first episode of that. We'll do a Patreon show on Sunday, and then we'll come back Monday night and do episodes 7 and 8 before we get to the final 2 episodes of that. And then a reminder that we've got the Mandalorian and Grogu final hype show coming May 17th. That'll be about a week before May 22nd or May 21st, depending on when your tickets are for the Mandalorian and Grogu. That'll be a lot of fun. And so looking forward to that as well. So before we get out of here too, just want to say shout out to everybody that joined us for the live stream, our live recording. Thank you guys so much for coming in and all your comments. It was a really good time. My Star Wars guys, Paisley, Alex, Darth Tedious was here as well. And did I miss anybody? I think that might have been it. Yeah. So if we missed anyone, my apologies, not intentional. Chris, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I just can't believe we're now on the downside of this series. It's just coming and going too fast, but I am excited. So far, it's lived up to my expectations, and I just hope these last 4 episodes continue to do so.
Yep, I'm with you there. Just real quick, it looks like Rob's going to be there at Star Wars Celebration. That's one. So we got a lot more other people we know we're going to definitely be there, but that's one. So can't wait to see you guys there. All right. We'll leave it there, and we'll see you guys here on Wednesday for the Road to Celebration show. See you then.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.